Are you searching for a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world? Do you yearn for more balance, more peace, and purpose in your life? Well, look no further than the Intuitive Revolution podcast, your trusted source for holistic insights and intuitive guidance. I'm your host, Alicia Farricielli, and I am ready to take you on a journey to inner peace and balanced well-being. Intuitive Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Farricielli, and today I have a special treat for you. As always, I have Young-Ginzburg here, who is a vocal activation for healing. And so she's going to come on and talk to us a little bit about how sound healing and vocals and all this stuff can help with your healing process. And we'll see where the conversation leads us. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia. So it's Chris Young-Ginzburg.
Chris Young.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. No worries there. It happens quite a bit. No problem there. Yeah, I'm excited to be here too. And I love what you're doing with your show and your theme. And gosh, I mean, where do I begin with the work that I've been doing? I mean, it's truly a lifelong process. I mean, it's so funny. Like, I'm going to be 48 next week and I can't believe it. I'm like, where did the 48 years go? It's just so crazy how it just snap of a finger and you're like, I'm 48, almost 50. It's just bananas. But my healing journey began, gosh, I would say officially in like 2002 when I went to a psychic school called the Berkeley Psychic Institute in California. And I was feeling the guidance to start meditating. And I had recently moved from Georgia. I was raised there for about 20 years, but authentically born in LA actually. And then my family migrated to Georgia and then I grew up there and then moved back to California. And I feel like that's when I really found myself all over again, going to my homeland in California. But my story doing healing work, you know, my mom was a psychic, not a professional, but she was a psychic dreamer. And she would dream about people and she would be spot on. I mean, I was surrounded by healers, Reiki masters on my dad's side. And it's so funny. It never really hit me until I got back to California when that part of my lineage with my mom and my dad's side really started to come forth. And then my journey developing and remembering who I am truly, and that I believe that we all are intrinsically psychic beings, really sensitive beings. My journey began in psychic school. And when I was going through the meditation classes, of course, I was healing myself incredibly, working through, you know, if some of you believe in past lives, I was working through past life stuff where that part of me had been truly shut down by these really traumatic experiences that I had doing similar work, but I was killed for. And so the more that I moved that energy out and became more of who I was, my voice started getting louder. I started feeling more confident and I had this really incredible ability to do healing. And it happened quickly. It's like, so what actually really happened was I got a Reiki healing. It was in 2002 that opened up everything. There was a practitioner that came to my home and he did the whole energy center chakra healing. And the minute he got over to my heart, that's when the first really clear image of being killed as a healer came out. And after that everything opened up. That's when the psychic school came. And that's when I was like, I have to heal people. Like all this energy was coming through my hands. And it's funny, my whole life, my mom would always tell me, she would call me Chrissy. Chrissy, you're such a healer. You're so healing. And my friends would say, you're such a healer. But it never really made sense until I went to psychic school. And I'm like, oh, well, this has been with me my whole life. And so I've been doing this professionally for over 20 years now. And then I went into bodywork school not too long after that. And that's when my voice really started to kick in more because we did a type of bodywork that I specialized in called vibrational healing massage therapy. And one of the layers of the work was that you used your toning and voice and sound to heal and cleanse the body. And when I started doing this work, I remembered my voice because when I was a child, I sang and I was a good singer. I was in chorus and I did all these things. And I forgot about my voice. And so that became reactivated. And so I'm telling you the story as short as possible because I could go on and on about all these things. And so that got activated first then. That was about 2007, 2008. And then after that, I got the call to plant medicine and I started working with grandmother ayahuasca. And then, those circles, you're singing, you're in harmony with these people. And one of the medicine journeys I did, the medicine told me like, you're going to be singing and drumming. And I was like, I am. And here I am, lo and behold, almost 10 years later doing sound healing, teaching people how to use sound healing for their own vocal expression, healing activation for themselves, because this is what happened to me. And then, when you get filled up like a fountain, all you want to do is share. And that's just a natural part of who I've been pretty much my whole life. I'm just a very sharing, giving person, healer. And then when I started doing more of the medicine work, it just got stronger and more vibrant. And then I started to become more embodied with who I was, healing my lineages, my mom and dad's side, and then becoming more of who I guess I know I've always been and decided I wanted to be coming into this lifetime and this body and this time. And I just love sharing, and I love teaching people how to use their voices to, again, heal themselves, to create songs, to become channels for their own, again, healing and healing others. So this is my mission right now, and I love it. Another part of me real quickly is I'm also a performer, a dancer, a performer. I did acting for a long time too. So I do act like sound healing performances where I get masked characters and do healing that way too. I try and embody all of these aspects of the art, like healing arts, into my work. And now I'm doing song creation with these two friends of mine in Sonoma County. I'm just like, what is happening to me? It's like all this creative song and performance is really coming together. And I just couldn't be more surprised, but also grateful at the same time, because I get to do both of the things that I really love to do. So that's it in a nutshell.
Fantastic. I love how you grew up in kind of the environment, but it was all kind of second nature to you, and that you really connected with your entire spirit and your path, connected with that, and now you're working through sound healing. So a lot of people probably associate sound healing with more sitting with sound bowls and getting the vibrations in. Talk a little more about how it helps open up, I guess, more the throat chakra and heart chakra, and to get you to people to be able to speak their voice.
For sure. I have a whole array of sound equipment. I have bowls and chimes. I have a shruti box. I've got drums and gongs and all of that. And each one of these instruments is attuned to certain frequencies to open up specific energy centers like the throat or the heart or what have you. But I have found, though, truly, Alicia, your voice is the most powerful and unique piece of sound equipment that every single being has. So you could be singing a song that opens up someone's throat, that opens up someone's heart, or you do it for yourself, which is what I teach in my classes, sound and voice activation. Your own instrument, besides your own heartbeat, which is a natural drum that you have in your body. This is completely unique. No one has this energy signature that you do. It's completely unique. So when you sing and someone has a vibrational match to it and you're in harmony or in sync, or you synchronize, or we, vibrate together. There's many terms we use in the level of frequency and energy. It's in our language. We don't even really I like her vibe, that type of thing. It can be as natural and as easy as using your song and voice. And think about music in general. You have songs that we are called to, that make our heart open, that make us want to sing, even that we want to sing along with. I mean, it can even be a Disney movie like Elsa. I have a 5-year-old daughter. It's like, all that stuff like opens up the throat, and they're like, I'm so emotional because of that movie. It's really fascinating how not only can it be for sound equipment, but it can be in many different forms. However, in the realm of sound, I have found that it's really attuned to the healing aspect. So people get drawn to it for that specific reason. And that's what I just like to share with people. Just trust where you're drawn. Like, you might even have a different bowl, let's say second chakra bowl, which is the sacral chakra, which is in the lower belly. It might open your throat. You just never know. So it's just trust where you're being drawn, trust the music that you're listening to, trust what you're feeling called to. If it's a person that does sound healing, again, your own voice, your own heartbeat drum. And drumming, again, is a really amazing instrument that's good for many different things. It's been used for God knows how long, eons and eons of time. So that's what I have to say about that. I mean, again, I could go on and on about stuff, but that's generally what I would like to say about it.
For sure on that. Yeah. So again, it's kind of like what you're saying, you look at harmonies, like people, you're like, oh, they'll harmonize very well together.
Yes.
They're in tune together, but it has that same, it's almost, two people can be in tune and still same harmony together.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
About this drum.
Yeah.
Thinking about and how that benefits, because people, a lot of our listeners are probably familiar with, I call it shamanic, or the drumming, the healing drumming.
Sure.
Some benefits behind that.
Well, first of all, one of the things that I've used a drum for is healing. healing my own body. And it's even, so the first instrument that opened me up more to becoming this sound healer was the drum. And again, it came in through a medicine circle and a medicine ceremony. And when the medicine told me you're going to be drumming and singing, I'm like, okay, then I need to get a drum. And one of the first drums that I got was a deer skin drum. And I started using it. It was about 12 inches. It wasn't very big. And I started practicing with that, drumming and singing. And then I would use it to clear energy in a space. Like you can chase off energies. You can call things in. You can manifest with it. You can even go on, and I'm sure a lot of your audience members know this. You can do drum journeys where you go into a meditation and you fall into that certain brainwave state where you can open yourself up to see prophetic. I've seen like prophetic images of like friends that were in need or places that needed help. So the drum is really also very good for grounding. It can really ground your first chakra and again, chase off any energies that are no longer supporting you. And when I've done work with the drum, like I've done energy clearings in houses and spaces. And I had this one incident with a drum and a spirit where I was working, this was before COVID, like I just started doing sound healing again after having my daughter. And I was in this space. I walked into the space. I could feel like something's off in here. And I was like, I need to clear this space. So I was in and I was like drumming. And I could feel the spirit in the room. And it was like, I'm not getting out of here. And I was like, oh, yes, you are. And I was like, 'cause I wanted to clear it before I brought people into the space. And I had this interaction with this spirit. And then I finally had to release it. And then it finally went away. But the drum really helped that. And at that time I was working, what I have mostly that I work with now is a buffalo skin drum. So I've found that the animal skin drums are really wonderful for that type of thing and that type of work. But, drums of all kinds are good for so many different benefits. But for me, I know more about the animal skin drums like buffalo skin and, more of the Native American aspect of drums that I've worked with the most.
I've always so tribal, like when putting on some tribal music, what I call tribal playlists and stuff, has always been my meditation go-to, and I love it. Like for like feminine flow to meditating and trying to call in messages and stuff to you. So I totally feel that, and it makes so much sense now. I was like, I don't know why I'm so drawn to this music, but now I understand.
Yes. One more thing I want to add about that, and I'm so grateful that you brought that up, is that last week I did a drum circle here in the area, and I've been calling in more like parents with children, because a lot of the parents that I'm connected with in my area, they really want to bring their kids around and involve them more. And I was doing these old pagan goddess chants from like the Celtic area. And these children, when we were drumming, they just instantly started dancing. They just instantly started singing. It's like we have this knowingness within us. It's like this DNA lineage that just starts to open and remember like, oh, I've done this before. Oh, I know this. And it will bring up memories for people of times past even. And some people will just start weeping. Like I remember in the beginning when I first started drumming, I'm like, why am I just crying my eyes out right now? Because it will open things up for you that you don't even realize that are there as well. It's a fascinating world.
You think about your psychic world as being more, going into more the meditation with some music, but not the actual aspect of the and the sound vibrations bringing in bringing in the potential of.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, we think we know, but we really don't know. And the way that I look at a drum, this is what I teach in a class. It's a portal, because it's like an open circle. And like, there's things that you're calling in and that you're calling out. And when I was doing sound journeys in the beginning, like really small groups of people, I would notice when people would come into the room, and there's no right or wrong in this, it's just what I would pick up on. Different people would bring in different energies. And when I'm singing with the drum, I become a channel, and I would notice different spirits would try to come to me and go, you want me to channel you? I'm like, nope. And I would feel, because their frequency was like not something that I wanted to channel. So this is also a portal. So it's like, bring incredible respect to this object, because it is an incredible magical portal of how you can call things in and bring things out. And then intention is a huge part of it.
Everything.
Right. Aho.
Everything. I need a t-shirt for
yes.
that.
Oh, that is good. You should do a t-shirt for sure. Yes, for sure.
On this show and you have a t-shirt with that, just let me know.
Yes. I'd buy one. I love it.
So tell me some of your favorite stories that with clients and transformations that you've seen through this. I'm going to call it sound healing, but it's more than that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, besides sound healing, one of the most incredible journeys that has just honestly completely caught me off guard so many years now is the story of myself and this gentleman named Joe. And this was when I was in bodywork school. I went to the school called the World School of Massage, which is now closed, but it was in San Francisco where I was learning bodywork and energy work. And this was after I had done all my psychic training, and going to the school was like a life school for me. I completely changed myself and learned so much. And again, I specialized in a modality called vibrational healing massage therapy. It paired really well with psychic work because I could use my clairvoyant skills to help pick up on different things that are going on with people. And I was also teaching people how to awaken it within themselves by doing these guided meditation journeys while I was working on them on the table. And one particular person, such a great story, and there's a lot with this one. I get this random email that comes into my inbox. And again, hadn't even graduated from school yet, and I was just practicing on people, but it wasn't like I had a bunch of clients at the time. This guy emails me and he says that he took a trip to India. He was just recently diagnosed with a certain type of cancer that was in his lymph nodes in his chest. And he immediately left. He's like, I'm going to India. And he's like, I'm going to go to India. He was a huge traveler. He's traveling through India. And then he gets stopped in the middle of the road by this guy, this Indian guy. And he's like, excuse me, sir, you have an illness, but you're going to be cured. And he's just like, whoa, what? Like at first he was a little mistrusting because he was like, what is this, And then he starts to elaborate and says, there's going to be a red-headed woman that's going to heal you of your disease. And he's like, so he stopped to listen a little bit more. And I don't remember all of the details of the conversation, but that was generally what came up. And so he comes back from his trip and he's sort of bewildered, like, who is this woman? Like, what happened? And then one of the clients that I had done readings for, she had my business card up on this bulletin board. And he looks up and he goes, does that woman have red hair? And she's like, actually, she does. And so she hands him the card and he emails me and he tells me the story. And when I'm reading this story about how I'm supposed to heal him from this disease, I'm like, oh God, that's a very big responsibility. I'm like, I really appreciate your message and I'm so happy to work with you. However, let's just see how this goes without any attachment. And let's just trust, like, we're being drawn to each other for a reason, but just so you know, like, that's a heavy responsibility. Like, we're just going to let it play out. So we work with each other. I don't even remember how long. It wasn't very long. But the thing about Joe is that he was so gung-ho to do anything to get this out. And so all of the work that we did together, all the transformations, like he was just in 1000%. I recommended books. He read all the books. Like he did everything. And within I don't even remember how long it was because this was back in 2007 or 2008. He cured himself working with me. And so this story somehow got out into the ethers. And this woman who wrote a book called Radical Remission, our story got into this book. And this was like in 2011. And, I had just gotten back from traveling from Europe. And I got word that this woman was sharing that I was this master healer at this talk. I'm like, oh my God, like the story's out. Like I had no idea that this had happened. And then years after that, it became a documentary. And the documentary is called Radical Remission. And I'm in episode 3. It's called Joe's Story. And it's the story of how we worked together and he went through a radical remission recovery. And I've had a lot of people connect with me since that documentary. But I tell every client, the reason that Joe healed himself was because he was 1000% in and willing to do the work. And he did it. And he's still healed today doing incredible work.
It's like, people look at it, well, that's just a placebo. If it's a placebo and it works, because our mind and I believe full capabilities to heal ourselves. We just have to have
yes,
confidence in, and then it's gonna work. And
absolutely.
I think a lot of this is people don't allow it in. They're like, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna give it a shot, but it's not gonna work, and they still don't allow it in. So I feel like you have to allow it in for it to work.
Yeah, and the thing that I want to note about anybody I've ever done healing for, I'm not healing them. They're doing it. I'm just their guide and helping them match the frequency of healing so they can believe, like you're saying, like they can believe that they're doing it. And he was willing. Like he's like, let's do this. And we had such a great time with each other. We were laughing a lot. We have a really playful nature, both he and I, and we were just enjoying each other. Like I look so forward to seeing him because he was such a hoot. He would always make me laugh. I'd always make him laugh. We really enjoyed each other and enjoyed the journey. So we had a harmonic with each other. And this was before I was even doing sound healing at the time, but I was doing that sound, using my voice for healing over his body, like using the voice and the toning and things like that. So we were doing that as well. But yeah, it was that's like the most, I would say, remarkable experience for me because it did get into a book and it did become a documentary series. And the story was so cool and that it was very inspiring. And, it was just, and he's such a great man too. Joe is just he's such a stellar human. And he's inspiring so many people.
He's taken the story of like almost not really, you listen to one person having to took the initiative and went to India, listen to person, listen. That's the key thing is listened because we don't listen.
Right.
It's like, okay, listen to his intuition again, listen.
Yes.
Found you. I mean, I believed and was like, this is the way it's going to happen. I made a decision. So that's cool. And then on top of that, you're like saying he's helping other people too.
Yes. The beautiful thing about that is that you never know how it's going to turn out. You never know who will inspire and what this work will do. It's just a continual flow and wave of putting out that ripple of healing for so many people now that need it. And I really believe that we're in a time now in 2024 where this is becoming more prevalent, this belief that we can heal ourselves. We have so much information online and people holding classes now. Like this type of personal energy healing is becoming more normalized. And I'm so grateful to see that because this is an intrinsic part of who we are. I mean, imagine when you hit yourself, like you knock your elbow. What's the first thing you do? You grab it. Because we have natural healing that comes out of our hands that we all have. Every human on the planet has this. Even animals when they're licking. I've even received kitty Reiki from a cat. It says vibrational healing. The purring is totally healing. But we have all of this natural ability. And I'm just so grateful that we're now more aligned and awakened into this belief.
It's funny. I was like coming back to my thing to talk to my husband. I was like, I had 3 people reach out and ask me today to teach classes. I do Reiki master, but I don't.
Beautiful.
I'm like out of nowhere, I saw some post on there. And I was like, oh, well, I can do that to like have a conversation, and then somebody else, like all of a sudden I was like, so these are functional medicine people, which are
love it.
They're people. They're like from a dog, from a you're still have the medical training. So it's like there's such a combination of the Western medical world is, I think, getting a little frustrated.
You're right.
Well, let's go back to some of the ancient principles and things that have been working for many, many thousands and thousands and billions, whatever years.
Totally. Right.
And such a cool thing to see combination of how we have all this great technology and all these advances in medicine that we can use and then still use our bodies and use on a function, a natural state.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a few things I wanted to add to that, if you don't mind. In the medical world, there are so many more nurses, and I worked on ER nurses for years, and some of them would tell me, and then more of them are telling me now there's Reiki coming into hospitals. People are just coming in and doing Reiki. Some of the nurses know how to do Reiki. I went to get a B12 shot, like 2 months ago, and we were just chatting with this nurse. I told her the work that I do. She's like, "Oh, how synchronistic! I'm actually going to take a class on energy healing." And we just talked for like 30 minutes. Like we talked way past her, doing the little B12 shot. And we were just like talking about how things are changing in the medical field and more of this stuff is coming in. And I was like, "Oh, this is so great! Like more validation of this." And also, there are hospitals that have sound bowls going through NICUs and supporting the children with, more ease and more balance. And I've been doing sound healing in schools, preschools, high schools, middle schools. It's filtering. The healing thing is filtering into so many different, God, what's the word I could say? It's like, like medical schools, like the systems, it's filtering in. And I'm like, this is so fascinating to watch. in our lifetime. Like we are literally watching a whole new experience of energy healing, sound healing, this new technology, even like the scalar wave technology. Do you know about this? I'm doing sound healing in scalar wave places. So it's just fascinating to see this whole world completely opening up and shifting right before our eyes.
Because like Einstein is like, for years, you've been saying all
Mm-hmm.
of this energy stuff's real, and people are like, whatever, we're trying to invent cars. They're using the energy portion of it. They
Yeah.
It's like, well, here, quantum physics. And so it's like you had
Yes.
it takes a few people that get some attention that have all these Dr. Joe, like Dispenza, who's fantastic.
I love him.
He's one of my favorite.
Love Dr. Joe. I know.
Joe coming up and being like, and having to tie this in together. It's like,
Yes.
it is a real thing. So I'm so thankful that
Absolutely.
we're in a day and age that we have all these brilliant, scientists and doctors and other people and just guiding along the math to be like,
Yes.
hey, here's the documentation your logic needs, so you can get into your intuitive side.
Yeah, totally. And I just started a membership program on my website, and I'm really in there teaching people. And I do intuitive coaching. And I did readings for years, but I've moved out of it. I got the call in the end of the last year, like, you need to start teaching, because I taught psychic meditation tools for years off and on. And then this membership that I've been creating, and also intuitive coaching, I've moved out of doing one-on-one readings and that type of thing. And I'm doing more teaching, because there is this grand awakening of people saying, I have this in me. Like, you have it. And so I'm teaching people, like, yes, I teach them a process on how to like bring this in, learn, and of course teach psychic tools too, but to teach people how to heal themselves, that we have all of this natural ability within us. It just needs to be reawakened. That's it. So I am a teacher helping people remember who they are and what they're capable of. And here I'm teaching to master. I'm learning every day on my end too, to, completely heal myself and keep going and moving in that way. But that's my calling right now, is to teach this work, and also a little bit of sound healing too with teaching. But the voice and the, teaching people about their own intuitive mastery is my big calling right now.
What be a couple of tips that you give someone who's interested in getting into this or learning more?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would say listen to that call of your spirit, and not the push of the ego. My dad taught me this really beautiful way of looking when it's the ego versus the spirit. My dad passed away about 5 years ago, so I always love sharing this with people, his knowledge and wisdom. How you know it's your spirit: when there's a gentle voice guiding you. And then when you know it's an ego thing, it's more of a push, get it done, make it happen, da, da, da. So pay attention to which place it's coming from. And, the intuitive voice is kind of like a little gentle nudge. It may get a little loud, but it's never going to like force you into anything, at least not in the experience that I have had with it. And the people that I've talked to, it's been more of like a gentle, meaning clients, they kind of get the same idea, like the gentle breeze of the knowledge and the wisdom and the knowingness, like, this is what I need to do. So follow that impulse and watch who you're drawn to. It's for a reason. Whoever it is, like when people are drawn to me, when I talk to them and I do, like, I call them discovery calls. When I start to talk to them, I'm like, oh yeah, like there's a reason why you're drawn to me, or you're drawn to a person, or you're drawn even to an instrument. Like if you wanted to do sound healing, it's there for a reason. Going back to the person, like for me, I have a certain past. And so people have a resonance with the past that I've been through and I've transmuted and transformed, so I can there support them. So pay attention to who and what you're drawn to. There is a significant reason for it. So, and also if you're feeling that intuitive guidance to learn a healing modality, sound healing seems to be traveling through the world a lot. The thing that I love about sound healing, for anybody who is interested in this work, what's beautiful about it, it's a really, I would say, kind of easy way to get into this world, because people just lay and receive. Like if I'm doing a reading, you've got to do these meditation tools, and you got to do all this practicing and all this prep before it. When I do sound healing, I show up with my equipment and I just allow, and I just trust whatever's coming. Yes, totally. It's a flow. So, and if you're feeling the guidance to do intuitive meditation, by all means, there's something there in it for you for that. So I think the main theme I'm hearing that I'm expressing to you is just trust. Trust where you're being drawn, trust who you're drawn to and what you're drawn to, because it is for a reason.
To you and want to work with you or find out more information, how would they reach you?
Totally. Yeah. So my website is called Grove, like a tree grove back here, Grove Circle Healing. And then there's a contact form on there that you can contact me through that. But then also my email is grovecirclehealing.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Grove Circle Healing, capitalized CA for California. I post a bunch of videos and stuff on there all the time, all kinds of messages. And also Instagram, it's just Grove Circle Healing.
Obviously, all her contact information will be in the show notes. So reach out to her, learn more about sound healing. That leap, if that's something that you're feeling, intuitively drawn to, which I know so many people
Absolutely.
are these days. So thank you for coming on here and joining us today. I learned so much more about just the depth of healing and how sounds and voices and all that stuff can really help guide us through our healing journey. So again, thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you for doing the amazing work that you do in the world and for all the ripples of goodness that you're putting out there, especially now.
So
yes, absolutely.